On My Story today, we bring you the story of Adetoun Sote, also known as Sote, a librarian who finds fulfillment in music and with a strong belief in using her passion to bring about the needed change of mindset among Nigerians. Please stay tuned as we bring you another motivating story.
Alongside Timmy.
Our viewers, my name is Honorable Yozuwa Johnson Agwanima. People call me EJ. That's my mission. Representing the good people of Ego, Global Africa Conference, the heartbeat of the nation. And this is my story on AI.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story. This is my story.
This is my story. This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
My brothers and sisters, this is my story.
My name is Adetoun Sote, ni Aboaba. Well, I was born in the year 1961, 27th of August. I was born at Newcastle on Tyne in England. But I did most of my growing up years here in Nigeria at Ibadan because my parents are academicians. My father is a professor of technology. My mother has a PhD in chemistry, first person woman to study chemistry in university. Well, my parents, despite their being academicians, which I am also as a librarian, I've worked in various universities. I grew up in a home where music was emphasized, as well as sports, but more of music because my parents were into operatic singing. My father, with Professor Akime's wife, Femi Johnson, with the Wole Soyinkas, we grew up all together, and they were also always into music. My dad played the keyboards, I played the guitar. My mom sings and she also acted, but now they've stopped. And on my university level, I went to the University of Ibadan. I went to my secondary school also at Ibadan. At university, I studied history and political science as my first degree. My second degree have a master's in library science. That's also a second love, but music comes first. And throughout my university days, I was in a band, a university band called Staccato. And at the first all-university band competition in Nigeria, my band was first. The Surmount show, that's what it was called then. I learned to play guitar at the age of 16. An uncle, who's now a professor in medicine, taught me. I've always been singing since really my primary school days. I also took part in operas with Professor Akime's wife, with Mrs. Ashley Dejo, and academicians, the with also the Europeans that were staying and working at the University of Ibadan at that time. But when I got to secondary school, my musical talent was not discovered till I was in Form 5. And I went to a Catholic school. And I was just called out by mistake to sing a song from a musical, Joseph and His Technicolor Coat. And that's how the sister called me, and she asked and said, oh, I didn't ask for you, Tune Abuaba, as they should call me, Tone Abuaba. Can you sing at all? Sing something to me from the play we want to act, the musical. So I sang, and she was looking at me as if shocked, And then in university, we were always playing. We'd go to ABU. My parents wouldn't know. And then after university, I continued. But I married, once I got married, we lived in the East with my husband. And while living in the East, I did a few shows, and then I was a housewife for 6 years. My husband is Mr. Lekon Sote. He always appears from time to time on journalist hangouts. My sons, one of them is also into music and coming out also with an album this year and a video. After being married for a couple of years and thinking the boys because I have boys, could now look after themselves. I don't have to be fussy over too many. I decided, let me go back into music. Let me go back and do what I really love, aside the library science, because I did to some extent make a mark in library science. I've written 2 books, the first to be written on that topic in the whole wide world. And I'm happy I did that, at least to some extent. I've taken a bit of the academic power in my parents and imbibed it, with several journal articles. So I came out with my first CD in 2011. But I was still working as librarian. This was at the Redeemers University. I worked also at the Ogun State University Library. I worked at a modern age library, which I worked also with journalists at the Daily Independent newspaper. And I came out with the first CD, and that was in 2011 while I was still working at the Redeemers University. Gave a lot of interviews, went here and there, but I won't lie, I had a problem. I saw that it would be necessary for me to do the promotion to start with if you haven't yet gotten a record label. So I had to do that, and I stopped for a while because I started work again as a part-time librarian and as a farmer. I'm also into farming, animal husbandry. I keep goats, And so I decided that yes, I had to do it again and go back into music full-time, and then I resigned. I think about 15 years earlier than when I should have resigned, And my parents were a bit upset about that. But I said, no, I'm going to do it with music, and I'll go play here, play there, do voiceover, still keep writing. And that's what I've done. After that, I also released a single, Dance to the Rhythm, which has 3 remixes, so to speak. And I also came out with a DVD, which is also a pet project of mine called God Bless Nigeria. You'll be shocked to know that I wrote that song 20 years ago. My kids said they always remembered me singing it. And when I came out with it, I decided it has to be different. It has not to be the general all video kind of thing in Nigeria, because really in my heart, I want corruption to at least die down a little. And when it dies down, you find that there is progress. And so in my song, I show the demerits of corruption, what will happen when you are not corrupt, and you focus on developing your country. You have agriculture, that's why I show the big wide expand of farming land. And also, you also had refineries, to show. And then I also added the steel industry, those blocks, steel iron blocks you see rising in the video. It's steel. And once you have a steel industry in place in a country, you'll be able to make pins, correct pins, and any other thing that you can think of. The video, which I came out with last year, I had to make it in a different style, because Nigerians love to dance. And someone said I should put dance into it and not make it too serious as if I'm advertising anti-corruption. But I did it in a way that would touch the hearts of people. You had little children with placards saying no more corruption, no more shortage of power, And also I wanted the people to know their rights, what is right and what is wrong. Therefore, I showed where a policeman refused to take bribe, and also I showed things that would help in developing the country. Like a Greek, that if we stop corruption, the spiritual aspect is you will grow. It is written that the generation of the righteous are blessed. Which generation are you? Which generation am I? If the generation of the righteous is blessed, why are we in this state? We have to determine we want to grow. We want to stop it. Nigeria is a great country, too. Vast resources. That's why I put clips of where you had your own refineries, you had your own steel factories. These are things that are essential for the growth of a nation, including education, having libraries in secondary, primary schools, so that from an early age, people are learning the importance of information. Information is power. And that's why the Western world is ruling us, because they had Carnegie and Rockefeller. Between them developed about over 5,000 libraries in the United States of America alone. So we need stuff like that. You need to make it compulsory, and a primary school or secondary school won't be accredited until they have a library. As a musician, it makes me happy. It brings out a beautiful feeling in me to know that you can make people happier, people change. And that's why I'm not so happy that most of our youths are emphasizing, I won't say negative, sex is good, yeah, but you don't overemphasize certain things. Getting high, getting drunk, yes, drink once in a while a little, but you don't necessarily have to get right. Because in the morning, when the first song you hear is, Besibe, Besibe, Losibe, Losibe. You know that kind of song? All morning, go they think of Besibe. It's just natural. But when you're singing positive things, you will think, yes, I have to change. I have to start doing this. I mustn't take bribes. When a kid of 2 years old told me that he didn't want the 20 naira I gave him, that he would prefer the 50 naira, I was stunned and I was sad. And I said, oh boy, this guy knows money, you know, at such a little age. So we have to change our ways of thinking. When we change, and those at the top who practice grand corruption, there's what you call grand corruption, petty corruption, and systemic corruption. And they are operate at different levels. But you know, where you have the systemic corruption is where people are not being paid well. So they will ask for small bribes, like 100 naira, 20 naira, you know that. But then you have petty, which is could be university, you know, where a lecturer wants you to either pay with sex or you pay with money to pass. And then you have grand corruption, which is done by the Senate, the House of Reps, you know, those in power, on the authority, where they're going to take in trillions and billions and not caring about their man on the streets. It's unfair. We're all gonna die, rich or poor. And the sad thing that you don't know is when you impoverish people and make old people be begging on the streets, you know, it's unfair because I'll tell you the truth, God's gonna punish you. You probably end up with one evil disease that you're going to be coping with for the rest of your life because it is written, blessed are those who help the poor. What are we doing? That's why I say, God bless Nigeria. Oh.
God bless you. God bless me. We go better for Nigeria. Oh. God bless us.
Well, I had quite a number of musicians, both Nigerian and foreign, that motivated me into music. Most of all, my parents, really, because we had all kinds of records in the house, from jazz to opera to pop to Afrobeat to juju, you know, and my parents were always into music. You know, my mother was always correcting me. And I felt, how could she say that to me? Michael Jackson's a legend. She said, you want to be singing like Michael Jackson, Abby? Open your mouth and let people know what you are saying. I was stunned. You know, so when you have parents, a mother like that, you have to try and prove your best. You understand what I'm saying? You say, even if you have an ailment, after all, Elvis Presley was, for example, diabetic. And yet, he made it, you know? So she always motivated me and encouraged me. Although towards the end, because she died about 2 years ago, she was saying, because sometimes she would call me Mama T, though I'm now T Sote. She said, Mama T, don't you think you're getting old? Do you think you can be doing all those wahalas, all those jumping around, all those on stage? I said, don't worry, Mommy. I'm gonna do it. A difficult childhood, I think, will not prevent someone, should not prevent someone from being great. With determination. It has all to do with the mind. If your mind keeps on telling you you're no good, you'll become no good. If your mind keeps on telling you what people are saying about you, some purposely done to make you feel inadequate or not talented, you won't move on. So your mind has to tell you, have to work on your mind and say, I don't care what anybody says. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna do music. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. So determination, you know, once, even if you have come from a broken home, that could cause that also, you know, because the other woman or the other man is going to be jealous of the other person's children. So you just have to be determined, you know, and then it depends on what kind of difficult childhood you had. For some, it could have been when they were young. For some reason or the other, they were into crime, like Yahoo, because they had to make ends meet. Some it's because they are greedy. Some because if you go into the spiritual realm, they were slowed down. Their destiny was truncated, so to speak, if you want to look at it that way also, you know. But really, with determination and prayer, you make it. You have to be, no matter how difficult, you have people who have mental diseases who are great people. I know people like that, and who are fantastic writers or musicians, but they do have a difficult childhood because they had to learn to live with that kind of disease. That's why you have people like Stevie Wonder. That's why he was determined and he became great, despite his being blind. If I had the opportunity to relive my childhood, what I'd have wanted was to have known God much earlier. So I wouldn't have made so many mistakes that I made growing up. I'm a writer. I have 2 books out. One is titled The Ojude Oba Festival of Ijebu-Ode. It's the first to be written about the Ojude Oba Festival in the western part of Nigeria. I love writing. I also wrote another book called The Egba Ake, also the first to be written on the Egba Ake in the world. And it tells about their community life, how they became the Egba Akes, how they started becoming the Alakes of Abeokuta, their different war songs and all that. Both books have war songs. I'm also into gardening. I took that from my parents. My mother was always planting different kinds of plants. My dad also, to the extent that he has the cinnamon plant in his garden, which is used as a herbal remedy for different things, you know. I love swimming. I swim, but I haven't gone swimming in the 2, 3, 4 years now, which I think is not good enough. And really another talent, I have a talent for trying and liking to be on my own at times. I could be on my own for a whole month and not feel I'm missing anybody. I guess that's a bit of a talent. And I love cooking. I had to learn how to cook from almost everywhere in Nigeria when I became a housewife. We were living at the east, in the east then, Owerri, for like 5 years. So I had to learn how to cook ofe Owerri, igba salad, oziza, I had to learn abac. I had to learn different because my husband will always bring a Ghanaian wife of his oga. That one taught me how to make kenki. I had to learn the European way as well because my mom is a descendant of Herbert Macaulay. So she came from a family of all missionaries, up to 4-5 generations of people, educated folks. And so my granny made chin-chin, made chuk-chuk, baked cakes, baked bread, and my mom did the same, so I had to learn all that as well. I'd say this is my story. I can't say everything, you know.
And that's it on My Story today. For your comments and suggestions, please send a text or WhatsApp message to 0806 004 2843. Thank you for staying tuned.